So yeah, I actually wanted to take a look at this because Gotcha Smack does make some good videos. You know, I like him. He makes some good videos. I'm glad I have to fight YouTube just to get this to work because YouTube sucks. It always sucks. But I have not seen anything about this video. It is called "The Honeymoon Phase is Over." Arknights Endfield Truth Bomb. So either this video could just be pure like retardation, or it could be actual like, hey, this makes sense, you know. But yeah, let's actually take a look at this.
What's going on,
while
boys
I
and
munch
girls?
on
Welcome
pizza.
back to another video by yours truly. So the honeymoon phase is over with Arknights Endfield, and I did a nice little experiment where I wanted to kind of get a answer as to how this game's launch measured up against some of the big hitters in the space like Hoyoverse and Kudo Games, because a lot of people can make certain statements.
Okay. First thing, how are you gonna measure that? What are you gonna measure it with? Google searches? Google searches is not a metric that can be reliably used to like prove if people are still playing a game. Like all right. So how are you gonna measure that number, bro?
It's like, oh, it's doing this good or it's doing this bad, but there's always verifiable like data and information that can be looked at.
Let him cook first? Yeah, I'm gonna let him cook first, but I want to know how he's gonna measure it.
Fares against Wuthering Waves, Honkai Star Rails, and the Zone Zero, and then you'll have an answer that is more trustworthy than just a he said, she said situation. And so
I mean, here's the, before we get into this is the truth about Enfield. It's not going to be as popular as the other ones because of how heavily focused character building is in the factory system. Like, that's the truth. Like, people are going to leave the game in mass because they're being filtered by the factory system. Like, so it's not going to be that popular as the big four. And that's just the truth about that. Let's actually see what he has to say.
I went to my favorite website for graphs on these gacha games and games in general, which is Google Trends. Google is still the #1 by a large margin, most widely used search engine across the scope of the globe. And I mean by a large margin. And so I love looking at this to try and get an idea as to how these games are doing in their launch windows. Quick little disclaimer before we get into the video about Google Trends, though.
One more thing. This is why I hate separate launchers for all of these games. I wish that someone would just make a launcher like Steam to just where you can track playtime or player count of all of these gacha games. To look at all of this, like, yeah, Google search is not a good metric. I agree with that, but
it's mainly.
But yeah, I just wish there was some way to actually track player counts and not have to do these. Like, oh, I'm going to check Google search activity on a topic, and then like it's just. I wish there was a better way to measure how active these games are.
A reasonable proxy for popularity and market interest, but it cannot reference or be a data source for how much money these companies are making. In fact, it's probably the worst source to try and use as a reference point for that. Google Trends uses YouTube as well as the Google search engine itself to reference that market interest and popularity. So that means platforms like Twitter, for example, is not going to be taken into account, which I'm completely okay with that because I'll be real, boys, I think Twitter has bought it to all hell. I'm of the belief that 50% of the
Twitter is in fact botted to all hell. Twitter is a hellhole.
So that is something that's not taken into account. And then, of course, a very important variable for me is mainland China. I think Google's banned there. They use their own search engine.
So that's actually true, right? Google is, Google is banned, isn't it? Let me actually confirm that. Google is banned in China. Firewall blocks nearly all Google services, has been since 2010. Once had a localized version, Google.cn, after they refused to comply with China's censorship demands. So what does Google use? It doesn't really matter what they use. They use Baidu is the main search engine. Okay, okay. Just ask someone who's been there.
Google doesn't take into account that, which means it can't accurately represent.
And here's the thing, like, the number could be low for Google and anywhere everywhere else that's not China, and then it could just be like triple the size in China because of the sheer amount of people that live in China. What percentage of the world population is China again? I gotta look that up. As of 2023, China accounts for approximately 17.6% of the world population. Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be censored, but I mean, they've got over 1 billion people living in the country, so it's going to be a higher percentage. But like, it could be like triple the size in China than it is in just on Google globally. That's not China.
Market interest and popularity in China, and Bilibili is included in that because Bilibili is the YouTube of China, and Google Trends ain't using that either.
I forgot about that.
So that, I think, with the
Bilibili.
exception of China, Google Trends is a very reliable source for market trends and popularity for these games and how quickly they scale down. And well, for what it's worth, boys,
I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Like, I do not think it's a good indicator of popularity of a gacha game.
I'm a Western content creator, and China's nowhere to be seen up here, right? I'm not talking to Chinese people as my market audience. I'm talking to the United States of America.
You wanna know what's funny? Like, I obviously have 600 subs, but this is identical for the list of countries. In mine, that's almost identical the way it is, like that. It's almost identical for the list of countries. When I looked at mine, views by geography, it's identical. I think that's just how gacha games are.
Indonesia,
They attract everybody.
India, Canada, Malaysia, United Kingdom, Germany, Brazil, Vietnam, Australia, Thailand, so on.
It's kind of censored right here.
Yeah,
of
top
course.
5 up here with the massive bulk of it being United States. And shout out to them Filipinos, bro. Them some Filipinos be supporting, bro. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Just for some context here, basically I took Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Endless Zone Zero, and Arknights Endfield, and then I spanned it across the past 5 years, which, by the way, that still doesn't take into consideration when Genshin Impact launched, which was a whole beast of its own. Just to give you guys a bit of a perspective, if we go all the way back to 2004, you'll be able to see this is Genshin Impact when it launched.
Good old COVID buff.
And these are all the rest of the little guys in the gacha space, right? As we all know, Genshin Impact had one of the biggest cheat codes of all time, the pandemic. And then it launched, and it was the first real anime gacha game that was just an anomaly at that point in time. It blew everybody away with those shell-shaded Breath of the Wild graphics. The rest is history. And so when we go back over here to this 5-year mark, we have Honkai Star Rail at blue. We have Wuthering Waves as yellow. We have green for Zenless Zone Zero. And then now finally we have Arknights Endfield. And what I find interesting about Google,
if you look at this, Enfield almost reached the peak as HSR. And the funny thing about HSR being so popular and the interest over time thing, that accent is crazy. What are you talking about? What accent? But the funny thing is about a big reason why HSR is so popular, because Genshin Impact already had the massive fan base. And so only if Indonesia is not developed because so many people play Arknights there, mostly free to play. Like, HSR had such a massive boost because they were made from the video guy, like Heavy American. I don't know, he sounds normal to me. He sounds completely normal to me, bro. What? Oh Lord. And then where's ZZZ? Green. Damn. Just look at the popularity. Like if he's using it as if he's using this as a metric to like judge how much people are playing it, I swear he sounds different.
Google Trends is just how accurately it can depict certain
It
events,
doesn't sound
so on
different.
and so forth. Like when you look at HSR right here, and then you see it fall off, and you see it revive again, it will reflect like certain events.
You can pretty much. I mean, see, here's the thing. This is just a stupid metric that he's using because, like, if he'd go, do you think if he sorted it by monthly, you'd see it peak when every new patch came out? You think if he was showing it monthly, you'd see it go up, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down?
That actually occurred, like the 2.0 launch or the anniversary and stuff. You'll see the spikes happen, and if you go to the current time periods, you'll come to find out it's lining up exactly with those time periods of when those hype windows launch. Case in point, Wuthering Waves fell off a cliff and did worse than all games because that launch was really that bad. But then you'll see
Dude, the wuwa launch in 1.0, oh boy, that was really bad. Oh boy. Holy shit, dude, that was horrible. I wonder if that was one of the worst launches ever for a gacha game.
Here when it shoots up in December 2024, but since it's spread out in 5 years, this is December and January. And guess what? January 2nd, I believe, was when 2.0 launched for wuwa. Hence that massive spike. And so I love looking at Google Trends because it really does have a very solid
Okay, hold up, wait. How does Google Trends work? Is it just based off Google searches? So wait, hold up. What? How does this work? Irony is how Tectum did the same with Will Genshin on launch. Really? But I have a question. So, how does this get measured? Is it Google searches? Like, how? Does it just combine everything when someone searches by a Wuthering Waves? Well, see, Talos, here's the thing about wuwa. Even with the terrible launch, it still was a success because their other game is PGR. PGR will never make anywhere close the amount of money wuwa has made. They fucked it up super hard and almost completely whiffed it, but it was still a success for them. But what I want to know is, how does Trend measure this? Is it just people typing in Honkai Star Rail, Arknights Endfield, and all that into Google? Because this would be adding Honkai Star Rail, Acheron, build, Game 8. It could be measuring that. I mean, this metric is sus. How does it get measured? Because that means I would be repeatedly adding to it by typing in, oh, I need to find an Acheron build, then I need to find a Ho-Ho build, then I need to find a Trailblazer Remembrance Path build. So these numbers could be heavily inflated. Because I could easily claim the only reason why this is all so heavily up there is because people are searching in builds for Genshin Impact and all the new characters they always release. So this metric is just not the greatest.
Groundwork for data that cooperates with certain patches and when they launch and when they drop certain things. So with that said, this is the 5-year mark. Now, one of the things I want you...
Now, honestly, this may be stupid to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like using the revenue data that comes out every month is more of an indicator on how many people are playing the game. If I'm being honest, I feel like it's a tiny bit more accurate. Tell me if I'm wrong about that. Would it not be a little bit more accurate by using the revenue data monthly that comes on that revenue website? The monthly PvP? Because no, that's just for phone. Yeah, I know it's only for one platform. I know it's for only iPhone. But again, it just goes right back to the thing of there's no good way to get actual popularity numbers and how many people are playing on these games because the devs will never release how many people are playing the game monthly. I mean, unless they're on Steam. Unless they're on Steam, because you could pull up Wuthering Waves Steam charts. That's why I'm of the mindset that using this is better. That's why I wish all like these games were on Steam. That way, so you could actually judge interest in them. There's always going to be outliers, and not everyone. Like, no, there are thousands upon thousands of people that would never spend money in a game like that. It's why I'm of the mindset there's actually no good metric to actually judge player interest unless they're on Steam.
You guys to take into consideration is HSR was at a 53 point value in terms of its launch. When you
what does that even mean?
Genshin Impact.
What is the what does the 53 value even mean? Like, this thing literally leaves out 1.4 billion, like, okay, sorry, let's just say 600 million adult, like 700 million people that might be playing these games. Is there any reason why China? Because Epic Games takes 15% of revenue, unlike the 30% Steam does. Steam takes 30% of the revenue. For whatever reason, I don't know why they do it. I don't really care. I think Steam's the best platform in existence, and that's perfectly fine. But it's literally just the devs not wanting to make as much money as possible. They don't want to sacrifice that extra 15 or 10% that they'd be losing if it's on Steam. That's literally the only reason. And the funny thing is, nobody actually uses the Epic Games launcher because it fucking sucks.
That's always going to be the ceiling.
Without repeating, as I can understand from the description, Google Trends count towards search terms without repeating. How does Google Trends work? It tracks real-time searches, aggregating and anonymizing from billions of searches daily. This includes searches of Google search and YouTube. So these numbers are also counting people searching up Wuthering Waves on YouTube, Honkai Star Rail on YouTube. Like, somebody could be looking up on YouTube Honkai Star Rail 4.0 or Honkai Star Rail all cutscenes, Honkai Star Rail trailers. Like, so, okay. Like, okay, their own answer literally says Google Trends is not a scientific poll or a measure of absolute search volume. Okay. I don't even agree with that. Like, I don't even think it's a powerful tool for identifying relative popularity. Huh. Hmm. Because, like, people could be searching it and, like, I don't know. It's fucking weird. So, Mavika Fudanari Rule 34 will not be counted as... I think it does. If it includes Genshin Impact in it. Like, if you type in Genshin Impact on that, it will count it. It will, because it has the search term Google or Genshin Impact in it, or Genshin. I think the search has to have just one of these words in it to have it counted.
Was just a beast of its own, and it still is. That's just how massive that game was. It literally was a genre-changing game for the gacha space. And so in comparison to Genshin, it's at a 53-point mark during its peak, right? And then we got Wuthering Waves, a 45-point mark, which is actually insane because that means Wuthering Waves almost had as big of a launch as Hoyo's next child after Genshin Impact, which was Honkai Star Rail, but not quite. It had a bigger launch than Zenless Zone Zero, which ZZZ was only at 41 points. And then it had a bigger launch than Arknights Endfield, which is only at 34 points. And yeah, that might surprise you.
Had to go over to the Twitch chat to see what he said.
A smaller launch window in terms of the relevancy in Google searches.
Yeah, no, like I don't know. That's it. Just this all circles back to there is no good way to measure popularity. There's no good way because they will never release player counts unless you're an investor.
Popularity, then both ZZZ
and I think using the past 5 years is not a good idea.
And Wuthering Waves, and then of course,
I think he should have compared it for launch. I mean, not launches. Genshin Impact would be. And look, okay, hold up. Look at this. He might address it soon. Let's see if he addresses it soon
as well.
I want to see if he addresses it.
One of the things I wanted to do now is show you guys. I have 4 different tabs open up here. And these tabs are going to reflect the first 3 weeks of each of these respective games in terms of how they launched and then how that launch scaled downwards. Because in the
Talos, space, what are you looking up in your spare time, bro?
You're always going to scale downwards.
I can't believe you got me to read that out loud.
Capturing a market, and then people are going to try it, and they're inevitably, you cannot retain every person that tries your game. There's no way, unless you're Elden Ring, and even Elden Ring could do that. But you're going to go down. But the question becomes, how did they scale down in comparison to each other? That is a very important question because that will tell you how
is he going to address it? I hope he does
in their launch windows.
Because I want to point it out so badly, but I want to see if he points it out himself.
And the reason I did 3 weeks is because we're 7 days out from Arknights Endfield being a full month since its release. So I can only get a gauge on the 3 week window right now. It's literally impossible for me to do a longer window. So let's go ahead and start off with it. We got Zenless Zone Zero. It started off at 100 point. That was his peak. And it dropped all the way down to 15 points. So we went from 100 points, which is the peak, all the way down to 15 points in a 3 week window. That's worldwide. If we go to United States only, then you'll come to find out that it went from a 15 point down to a 13 point. So it actually did even worse in the United States than it did worldwide. That's not the case for all of them. Now, if we go over to the next one, we have Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail started off at 100 points, and then worldwide, it dropped down after 3 weeks to 36 points. And guess what? HSR still to this day had the best launch out of all 4 games. HSR had a good launch. It didn't have no jank bull or PayPal hacked your whole accounts, buggy stuff. It was polished. It was crisp. It was actually good. Everybody was enjoying it. So on and so forth.
Okay. Besides the PayPal thing, what else went wrong with Enfield's launch? Legitimately, what else went wrong? I had the almost perfect experience. Everything was running fine. I had no issues. Hell, I wasn't even affected by PayPal because I don't fucking use PayPal. Because PayPal's retarded. PayPal is garbage. I don't know what issues Enfield had at launch besides the PayPal thing, which apparently lasted for an hour. And it was fixed almost immediately. Fluorite wasn't more goonable. Yeah, they should have just had Fluorite naked.
Dropped off from 100 down to 36 points. Now, in United States, when we click United States,
CC starts with an S. I wonder who.
It dropped down to 39 instead of 36. So HSR is the ceiling of a 3 week.
I'm gonna die on this hill that HSR has the best 1.0 quest in all of Gacha. I'm gonna die on that hill. Bellabog was cinema.
Launch when you measure it up against all these other Gacha games. It held on
to pollution of California.
Of its not a majority. In comparison to the other peers, it held on to way more of its audience that it initially had.
How is this a metric of the audience being retained for the game for the first 3 weeks? How is Google searches? How does a Google search? Okay. Power creep is so diabolical for HSR. They really maintained it pretty well up until like sometime in 2.0, 2.x. Like power creep wasn't that bad. Then it got out of control with Acheron.
Over the scaling of that 3 weeks.
Okay.
PayPal hacked your whole accounts, buggy like stuff. It was polished, it was crisp, it was actually good. Everybody like was enjoying it, so on and so forth. And it still dropped off from 100 down to 36 points. Now in United States, when we click United States, I
just don't understand. Yeah, no, HSR, ZZZ, the reason why these games are so popular on launch is because of the Hoyo buff. Because Genshin Impact and Hoyo were just so established as being like the top gacha games. Of course they're going to be massive on launch.
Better. It dropped down to 30.
It's just I do not see how this can be used as a metric for player attention after a launch for the first 3 weeks of a launch. I just don't see it. It's like Apple dropping another iPhone. Literally, yes. People are playing these games because of the fact it's got the Hoyo label.
Instead of 36. So HSR is the ceiling of a 3-week launch when you measure it up against all these other gacha games. It held on to a majority of its not a majority in comparison to the other peers. It held on to way more of its audience that it initially had over the scaling of that 3-week cycle. Now we come over here to Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves went from 100 points all the way down to 11 points worldwide. That is the biggest drop off we've seen.
Yeah, because dude, I don't fucking understand it, bro. It's like it's starting to get annoying because this is not I cannot take this as an indicator of player retention or player count over 3 weeks or whatever he's trying to use it like or interest in the game
so far. And if we come over here to United States, Wuthering Waves then came up to, it did even worse in the West, actually. Went down just 1 more point. So Wuthering Waves literally lost 90% of its audience when it first launched. That just goes to show
market interest. For me, Asmongold used trends ones. Oh god, fucking Asmongold. Ugh, the Lord Roach. Technically speaking, it's 90% of the popularity market interest. Like I cannot accept these. People should not accept Google Trends as an indicator of popularity. I don't think it's accurate. Aspen Roach based.
Just how bad that launch was for wuwa.
Oh no, the launch for wuwa was wow. Only Kuro Games could fuck it up that hard.
Compensation to try and
the same thing they did with PGR
and the jank. It really was a nightmare, guys. And so it went from 100 down to 10. Now, finally, what about Arknights Endfield? How did it fare? If we come over here, Arknights Endfield was at 100 points. We've got that 3-week window, just like we have for every single other one. And for worldwide, it came all the way down to.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, all right. Enfield's searches are most likely going to be way, way, way lower because of the fact that Enfield has a team builder in the game itself that you don't need to search for. That's the thing. Like, you can take this as me defending shilling for Enfield. But like I have my own issues with Enfield that we'll get into later probably, but dude, trends is not an accurate way.
18 points. So that's 8 points higher than Wuthering Waves. Well, actually 7 points higher than Wuthering Waves worldwide. We'll then show the United States here in a bit. And that's also higher than Zenless.
And people are not going to be searching for this game if they quit or got filtered by the factory system. So like, I don't get the point he's trying to use this to make.
Since Honkai Star Rail. Now the thing is, Honkai Star Rail mogs all of them in that launch window. To be fair though, Honkai Star Rail had the Giga Genshin Impact buff. It literally dropped after Genshin. Genshin gave it the good old rub. So I would say HSR still had a cheat code buff in comparison. If you were to like isolate
Yeah,
HSR and not have the
it has the
buff,
Hoyle label on it.
how would it have performed? I don't think it would have maintained all of that audience as well. You know what I mean? But you know, regardless.
But then again, HSR 1.0 was fantastic. Almost all of the patches past 1.0 up to 2.0 were fantastic. Like HSR was really good in its launch.
The data here is the data here. With this in mind, first let's go ahead and take a look at United States, right? So 18 points from 100 points was worldwide, and then it went up 1 point in the West. So it actually did just a little bit better in the West on Google Trends, Arknights Endfield, that is. And so with this data, we can see and we can extrapolate that Arknights Endfield actually did a little bit better with the audience it did capture. When you compare it to ZZZ and Wuthering Waves, it did worse than Honkai Star.
I'm telling you, Enfield is just going to suffer the same fate as Arknights, the OG Arknights. It's not going to be massive globally, but it's going to be fucking huge CN. It's going to be Genshin's biggest competitor again. That's most likely what's going to happen.
RL. Now, with that said, what I like about all of this is it also just goes to show you how many people will quit a gacha game. Once the game launches, it hits its peak, it captures the people. How many people will quit on average when we compare to wuwa, ZZZ, and Arknights Endfield? 80% or more leave and quit the game.
So am I the only one that's seeing this, that he's using it as a metric of player count? Am I the only one that's thinking that way? That he's using it as a metric for player count of like Google Trends as a metric of how many people are playing the game in the first 3 weeks? Like these are just Google searches on YouTube and Google containing the name Arknights Endfield. I see a short where Asmon is level 50. Lord. Am I the only one that's just seeing that? Yeah, and wuwa, dude, will always have that black mark on its shoulder of the 1.0 launch. Like, I just seriously think it's a mistake to use Google Trends or whatever. Yeah, Google Trends as a metric of player count. I just think it's stupid because it's just Google searches. You want to know what I could fucking do? I could go code a couple bots to spam every possible type of search of fucking Honkai Star Rail and just boost it to 100, like, or just start boosting it. Like, we could get 1,000 people to do that. It would just start boosting it, so that would automatically name HSR as like super popular again. And the whole thing with gacha games is the most people on a per patch to per patch basis will be playing in the first week and a half. That is when the most people are going to be playing the game, and then it's going to drop off as the patch goes on, and then it's going to spike again when the new patch drops. That's just how that works. They'll be super popular for the first week and a half, and then it'll just drop off and then spike again when the new patch releases. That's just how gacha games are. That's just how modern gaming is.
And probably
like Dark Souls is saying it isn't popular because nobody really streams it anymore. Well, Dark Souls is like, yeah, like I'll pull up the Google Trends for Dark Souls. Oh, I kind of want to do that, but it's two different types of games, and I don't think we should be comparing them. A series of games that's so popular that it spawned its own type of gaming genre.
Never come back. Now, when I come back over here, I want you guys to understand just how significant wuwa's launch was when it came out with 2.0, because it was down here at a 7 before 2.0. That's dangerously low. In fact, it went down to a 6.
That's not dangerously low. That's just because people aren't searching it. That doesn't mean nobody's playing the game. Like, yes.
What? And then when 2.0,
I don't understand the point he's trying to make.
All the way up to 17, triple its point value in relevancy on Google with 2.0 launch. So you can see that 2.0, it saved I mean, it
Oh
literally
no, it
saved
100% saved
Wuwa would have probably
Wuthering
stayed.
Waves. Like, this dude is 100% correct about 2.0 saving Wuthering Waves. Like, 2.0 was so important for Wuthering Waves' success and it being cemented as one of the big four of the Gacha games. Like, if 2.0 sucked ass, wuwa would not even be considered like one of the big Gacha games that everybody thinks of. When somebody thinks of a Gacha game, it's usually Genshin, HSR, wuwa, fucking, and ZZZ. That's just how it is. At least globally.
At that 7.6 and probably dropped down to a 5 and probably would have been there for, in perpetuity. But Wuwa's 2.0 was so significant, such a monumental change in almost every facet possible. Voice acting quality, music quality, exploration, story, pacing. The combat was always still the combat, you know what I mean? But pretty much.
Yeah, no, that is true. The combat was like the only good part of Wuthering Waves when it released. I actually liked the story of 1.0, but he's right. Like, combat in 1.0 was really like the saving grace of wuwa. That's the truth about that.
In presentation, all of these variables, that patch was so undeniably good that it still did not bring back even half the market that it captured. And so now
I don't see, this is the problem. Like, he's trying to point out that because people were searching the Wuthering Waves in Google again, like, he doesn't take into account that it's just people it's the same people that have been playing the game since launch. It's people searching up, oh, Carlotta build, or Wuthering Waves Carlotta build, Wuthering Waves Rosia build, Wuthering Waves, who came out in 2.0? I don't know, because I wasn't playing it at 2.0. Whatever the hell character came out in 2.0 build, Wuthering Waves 2.0 builds. It's like, yeah, it gained popularity on good, like people searching it, but there's no good way to measure it. Chang Li, no, she was 1.3, I think. Yeah, she was 1.3 or 1.2. She came out after Jinsei, I think. But like, I see what he's trying to point out, but I don't think this is an accurate way to portray how popular the game was in 2.0. Like, the better way to show that is to go back and look at how many people, like, go back and look at all, like, okay, the way you can do this is go on YouTube, type in Wuthering Waves 2.0, and just look at all of the VODs and just look at the views on them. That would be a better way to judge interest on how many people were watching that stuff, how many people were streaming it. But then again, that's not even a good way to measure how many people are playing it, because if people are playing the game, they're not going to be fucking watching people play it as they play it. There's no good way unless they publish player numbers.
now we are looking
Like,
at Arknights Endfield. Arknights Endfield right now is finally on the decline. This is not an accurate representation of Arknights Endfield.
what do you
right
mean
now.
finally on
When
the
you go all the
decline?
way back out.
What do you mean by that?
Arknights Endfield right
I agree those videos are good, but this one is in what Russia called weirdly diarrhea. Number is high for one reason, and the number is low is because of other reason. Huh?
now is finally on the decline.
What do you mean finally on the decline? No shit, it's on the decline. How many thousands of people got filtered by the factory system? What? Do you think the people that got filtered by the factory system are going to be Google searching Arknights Endfield? No. Dude, we're what? How many weeks into the patch now? Of course the player count's going to be dropping. What? And guess what's going to happen when the new patch drops? Right back up. Come on, bro. People are going to go right back to searching up Enfield on YouTube and Google.
Of Arknights Endfield right now.
Hold up. I got to check something. We're checking something. Because sometimes when I'm searching for Enfield, I'll just type in Enfield. Okay. Because sometimes people might not be searching up the exact way you have it typed in. Yeah, see, this is the thing. Like, see, here's the thing. The whole video so the whole video is this title, The Honeymoon Phase is Over. Like, here's the thing. This is two different types of searches that you can do for Enfield. This is the one that the devs have set for you to search with the proper way, and this is just typing it in if you're trying to find a certain thing for Enfield. And it's two different graphs. So what? Should I be just adding these together and just boost the search terms? Like, how should I do this? Because it's two different search terms. Let's do this. And here's the official one. Okay, so we got different search terms. Oh no, my $1 million company earns less than $1 million. Your $1 million company. This is bad for my ego. You literally just summarized Twitter at a certain time of the month and Reddit at a certain time of the month. If CN was counted, it'd be so different. Yeah, it would. But here, look at this. Like, there, you can just literally type in fucking Enfield. And here's another one. Like this, like just having this singular one does not account for all of the searches. Like, okay, let's remove these. Let's remove these. HSR. All right. Honkai Star Rail. Okay, so we've got three different metrics of indie. So should I add these three together and then say, oh my god, HSR is so popular? No way. The interest in HSR is so high. This is awesome. Because having just one term does not account in his own for his own way he's measuring this. He is not counting a lot of the searches of people not typing it in exactly the way he has it typed. Unless these are put into this, but I feel like it would be just showing the same graph or the same line. But here's the thing. If it is counted into this, it'd just be showing the same graph. But here's the thing. This is in fact a search term, HSR. That this is just proves that depending on how this is added up together in these three terms, this is not reliable at all. This is basically just made up numbers. This is my problem with this. That is my problem.
When you go all the way back out 5 years, it's going to reflect a bit differently. Let's go back to a 1 year so that we can take a look at what Arknights Enfield's actually looking like. Yeah. So as you can see, Arknights Enfield, when you look at it in the 1 year lens, it is crashing hard, right? And this is normal. This is normal. If you go back and do a 1 year, the same way I put every Gacha game in a 3-week cycle measurement. If you put every Gacha game in a 1 year, you're gonna see this exact same thing, if not worse, for ZZZ and wuwa. Honkai Star Rail did a better job putting it off. Honkai Star Rail was kind of like
what's the point of this then?
Right, and then it still maintained a lot of its audience. But as you can see right now,
so what's the point?
Is 1 billion% heading towards over here. It's heading over here where both ZZZ and wuwa are. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. What can Arknights Endfield do to prevent that from happening and try to maintain some of that audience? Because here's one of the things I want to get.
Okay. Google Trends it can't be used as an indicator. There's no points. It's just word like
Z and wuwa are. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. What can Arknights Endfield do to prevent that from happening and try to maintain some of that audience? Because
okay, Google Trends is not an accurate way to measure the audience, how many people are playing the game. Like, dude, here's the thing. If Enfield wants to retain its players more, how about they fucking redo the story and actually make it interesting and not a fucking slog to get through? How about that? There are very select points in the story in Valley 4. I mean, okay, Wuling is a lot better than Valley 4, but holy shit, I barely paid attention to a lot of the stuff in Wuling because it didn't fucking matter. And Valley 4 was just, oh, hey, save these refugees 5 to 4 different times. And then literally nothing happens with the big bad. You fight an Agaloy and that's it. You get rid of the little vortex in the sky and what else happens? Oh, nothing. The villain walks away. Oh, wait, I forgot. The little robot dies. Okay. Like, if they want to maintain the players in Enfield, they really need to up their game in storytelling and story writing. Like, Wuling was an improvement. Okay, yeah, okay. I'll say this. The story for Enfield is adequate enough. It's adequate. But, like, brother, if this is what I'm gonna be getting every patch of story quality, I'm gonna be pissed. I want people dying. I want shit to be emotional. I want it to be good. I don't give a shit about a robot dying. I want a playable character to die. It's digestible, yes. It's safe. It's not bad. It's just mid. It's not a bad story for a launch. It really is. I'm not trying to say the story's bad, but it's not good either. The character introductions are fantastic. Like, in being introduced to I'm gonna call her Mimi because I can't remember her full name. And then Tong Tong, being introduced to Dragon Milf, being introduced to the guy with the cane. Like, these introductions were good. But it's just a shame that the rest of the story is just boring. Nothing happens.
Here's one of the
and they really do need a proper endgame mode.
things I want to get off my chest off the bat.
What's he gonna say?
2.0 wuwa.
Gotcha system. Come on.
I'm gonna be honest. 2.0 wuwa. I'm gonna be honest. Very fucking hard for another gacha game to do. It's very hard. It is.
Okay, so you're comparing. Okay.
You know, the flight being added in, the voice. Basically, what the devs of wuwa did is they said, guys,
they remade the game. Basically, they redid the game. They literally 2.0 for wuwa was essentially a relaunch. That's literally what it is.
We have to, and I mean we have to.
If they did not essentially do what 2.0 did for wuwa, the game would have died. It would have most likely been on life support for like however long it would have remained.
Pour the biggest fucking budget we can into our story experience, or our game is cooked. That was what wuwa decided. It wasn't we have to fix our combat. It wasn't that. It wasn't we have to fix our character models. I think their character models were good from the start. Chang Li was a banger.
Enfield was already doing that. Good.
Shorekeeper was a banger. It was
Shorekeeper was perfection.
Story, and that first launch window and that experience that people go through as they go through the story and the exploration.
You know, I am going to say this. I think people overhate on the 1.0 story for wuwa. It's not terrible, but it's not good. It's a little bit worse than Enfield's. But 1.1 story was great. 1.3's story was great. Like, the Black Shores storyline was cinema. I loved the quest revolving around Jinsei and then unfreezing the island and fighting against Jue. That was all awesome. Integrated strategy is thunder in a bottle. That's why nobody can repeat it. Even Deads can't do it in Enfield. I mean, I think they could.
Arknights
It'd be a pain in the ass to do it.
If you guys wait until your 2.0 launch, you will have already lost 90% of the audience.
Okay, so what is wrong with Enfield that it's supposedly dropping 90% of its players?
Set out to capture. And if you do that, wuwa is a tangible proof that you can still be very successful with that audience that's left over and those returning players that come back.
What is wrong with Enfield that people are leaving it in droves? What is wrong with it?
The hype that goes on as the...
I know what's wrong with it right now. There's not a lot to do. It's kind of like building characters is it gets a lot better when you get to wooling. I'll say myself, like it gets a little bit faster with wooling, but I don't understand what is wrong with Arknights Endfield right now.
You know, the time trickles on. The thing is though, why should you wait that long? You might not be in a position because of the development and the dynamic of how...
Like, he is assuming that Enfield is in the same spot as 1.0. That's what I'm getting from this. This is the thing, like, it seems like he is assuming or making this statement, or not making this statement. He's saying that Enfield is in the same exact spot as wuwa 1.0, where the game is so buggy it's borderline unplayable. The story and the voice acting is garbage. Like, okay, the story's boring but safe. Pretty much the same thing as wuwa, but you know, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. VA is garbage, dude. The VAs were pretty, like, the voice acting was not the greatest for wuwa 1.0. He's pretty much implying that Enfield is in the same position as wuwa 1.0.
Live service
but
games
it's
function.
not.
You guys are already working or already worked on the patches you're getting ready to put out months ago, and now you're just tweaking out the ends, and so you're not in a position to...
Dude, okay, Rover's female VA in 1.0 was not very good, but she's gotten a lot better though. She has gotten a lot better as the game's gone on. I've actually considered switching over to female Rover, but like, male Rover is just the GOAT.
You could expedite some of these big changes you may or may not be having in the future. And so we're in this position now where the question becomes, what can Arknights do to hold on to the audience it currently has and is currently losing?
How are they losing the audience? What is making Enfield lose the audience?
Well, I think worst case scenario, you go down there with ZZ and wuwa and you...
Where are the examples of Enfield losing its player base of things that are wrong with the game? Like, what's going on, brother, man?
Still make a killing. And that's probably what you guys have already surmised is going to happen, and you're okay with that. But if you were to ask me, what could we do to even salvage some of the people we still have before they even take off? I think the story and the play that Kudo did in 2.0 needs to happen faster. Maybe if you could do that in 1.2, you hire much better voice direction, possibly even voice actors, and off. I think the story and the play that Kudo did in 2.0 needs to happen faster. Maybe if you could do that in 1.2, you hire much better voice direction,
What's wrong with the voice direction in Enfield? The voice direction in Enfield is fantastic. What? Like, you've got fucking Little Red Riding Hood and her brother speaking Italian in the English voice act, in the English dub. You've got fucking Tong Tong singing in, what is it, Chinese when she first meets you? And it's the same Chinese VA speaking for English. Like, Chen is great. Mandarin, okay, I don't actually know what language she's singing in, but she's singing in another language that isn't English. Like, none of the VAs are bad. Like, sure, yeah, Wolf Guy, he sounds a little bit flat, but that probably because of the fact he might be speaking in a language that might not be his first language, because he might be Italian. Or, like, I don't fucking know. I don't know who the VA is. But that's the thing. Like, the VAs in Enfield are fantastic. Mi Fu, her VA is awesome. Like, what? What do you... okay. Like, Enfield has some of the better VAs. Like, sure, they don't some of them don't sound like they're, how would I say it? Like they're Oscar-winning performances, but a lot of them have hardcore accents. Like Wolfcard, yeah, he could do better, but I'm totally willing to forgive that because of the fact he spoke Italian, and I hope he does it again. Like, bilingual VAs that are doing stuff, like speaking another language in the EN dub, is perfect. I love it so much. Maybe he plays the game mute. Yeah, I could see some points with Wolfguard. I couldn't remember his name. That's why I said Wolf Dude. Like, he sounds a little flat at some parts, but it literally could be the fact that his main language might not be English. Okay, hold up. Let's look it up. I'm going to look it up, actually. Wolfguard VA. Who is this guy? Wolfguard Voices. He has 2 of them. It's an Italian guy. Okay. I'm guessing, okay. Yeah, Wolfguard. Guy named, I'm not gonna pronounce that. I'm not gonna pronounce it. The VA, and it has an Italian flag. There's only 2 VAs. And has an Italian flag. So it might be, he might not be speaking his first language. Like, that might be why it sounds a little flat. I'm guessing it's a little hard to say certain words in a language that might not be your main one or the one you're born into. Like, dude, like, and it might be, it literally could be the director's fault that he's not directing him enough. It literally could be that. Hog has a Russian VA. I need to check that out. And some NPCs. Yeah, I need to check that out. Like, I love that they have bilingual VAs in their English dub. I think it makes it super unique and gives it a leg up upon other gacha games. Like, it is just awesome. Like, Little Red Riding Hood and her brother speaking Italian, that's fucking awesome. Hearing Mi Fu and Tong Tong say Chen's name in that hardcore accent is hilarious. Like, Tong Tong's V8 slaughters the role. She is so good. Same with Mi Fu, but, you know.
Possibly even voice actors, and you ramp that shit up. You put a lot of budget in your presentation. You put a lot of budget in character development and character interactions. You unmute your fucking protag and give him more lines to where he's more inactive.
I do agree with that. I would like the protagonist to talk a lot more. I love it when the main character talks. I think it's only a plus. I do agree with that. I do want the administrator to talk a lot more. That would be fantastic.
It's all going to start with that story. Because one thing about a story, especially in a live service game, is it can go on for a very long time. And these gacha players, no matter how shit your gacha game is in terms of its gacha, no matter how shit it is in terms of its lack of a replay value of combat, they will keep coming back if that story is bussin'. And we have seen that time and time again with Genshin Impact, with Honkai Star Rail, and now with Wuthering Waves, and with even Fate Grand Order. And so the story is the most important thing you guys need to all in on. Fuck your combat, fuck your...
Yeah, no, he is right about that. They do need to make the story more engaging. Like, they really do. Like, the story right now is just it's just slow. It's just super slow. That's my main problem with the story. I just don't like how slow the story is in Enfield. I do wish they'd speed it up. I do wish they'd do that.
Factory story.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, they really do need to make the MC talk more.
I'm telling you, that's what matters the most. The absolute most. Everything else, gacha players like to pretend like they care about a gacha game. And I'm sorry, the gacha system. They love pretending like. They love virtue signaling. They love critiquing it. We have already seen in every way possible, no matter how bad a gacha system is, gacha players will still stick around. So that goes...
Fake Grand Order players feeling called out.
This goes to show you that it ain't the gacha that matters. It's the story and the combat.
Yeah, because guess what? Right. The majority of the people care about the game first rather than the gacha system. Wow, what a surprise.
But we fixed the story. Like, that's the first thing we can do. You fix it as fast as you possibly can, and you up the...
Okay, the thing is, the only thing they really need to do with this story is just up the writing and the speed of it. There's really nothing else that... It's just slow and boring right now. That's all they really gotta do. And like, I'll give them a couple patches to see if they can figure out what they want to do, but like, come on.
The budget on it as fast as you possibly can. The next thing, your factory was both a risk and a strong benefit. The biggest risk of your factory system is it's a filter. A lot of people just ain't fucking with it, and it's going to scare them off. It had the most massive...
So he acknowledges that people got filtered, okay? He acknowledges that people got filtered by the factory system, but he doesn't bring it up in this fucking graph data about why it's going slower.
It's a learning curve for so many players, and there's simply wasn't enough guides or, you know, enough time and patience for people to stick around for it. So the factory is going to filter people. That's going to happen. It is what it is. But the factory system is also the same.
The funny thing is about the factory system, the tutorials literally teach you how to do everything. Like, yeah, the tutorials are boring as piss, but it literally teaches you how to do everything. So if you got filtered by the factory system, either you don't like factory games, which is perfectly fine, or you're retarded.
System that is keeping people around.
And stop with all the forced romance. I don't know, dude. I love it when I'm the main character and people are just slobbing on my knob, bro.
That you're going to build on that foundation is also what's keeping people around. And so I think the next step for you is going to be expanding upon your factory system, adding more ways or even just more factories, period, to make the experience more of an intricate depth.
Oh, yeah. What? Dude, what?
For you is going to be expanding upon your factory system, adding more ways or even just more factories, period, to make the experience
more. Yeah. Do you think that what we got for the factories is all we're going to get? Do you think that's all we're ever going to get for the factory now with every update? Do you not remember the howitzers that they showed in the launch live stream? Those big ass cannons that we still don't have? Like, we don't have those cannons, right? Still for based events? We don't have them, right? Like, obviously, we're going to get more factory stuff and more places to make more factories.
More of an entry.
But what I want is faster conveyor belts. That's what I want. Wolfguard and Gibby had better quests in CBT1. That's not a surprise.
Get depth. Adding.
That's what often happens with beta tests.
More ways of
people
innovation,
be bitching,
such as you did in Wooling with the water system. You know, that's only exclusive to Wooling. The water system has to go into the forge. You need way more things like that. Not way more, but you need to consistently innovate in those ways in 1.1.
They're going to. We still have a week and a half to go to 1.1. We're not at 1.1, right? There's what are we? Are we at? Are we still at? Are we still on 1.0 for our Enfield? Like, we're not at 1.1, right? Like, so I don't like they better be adding more factory stuff. I'm assuming they are. Like, dude, we've got the first 2 areas of Wuling. We're probably going to get another section of Wuling in 1.1. What's the point of, like, what's the point? They're obviously going to be adding more factories and more places to build more factories.
1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Maybe you'll have a one-off patch where you're chilling because you're, allocating budget here, there, everywhere. But you have to constantly expand on that factory system because that is literally probably half the replay value of Arknights Endfield. The last thing I would say is the combat. Your combat is actually not bad. It's got some pretty good aspects to it, and most importantly, breath of fresh air in comparison to everything else in the space in these open world games. You actually tried to differentiate.
Well, yeah, no, the combat is like, dude, the combat is literally like one of the best features in Enfield. Like, I can't tell you how much. I can't properly describe how much I love the fact that your teammates are on the ground with you and you can still switch between them. That is awesome. And the fact that every character just has one ability and it just simplifies combat so much better. Like, the combat is fantastic, and they're really the only thing that I have a problem with combat is I still think the dodge indicators do not show up enough. I think they need to be brighter or bigger. Like, when an enemy is about to attack, I think it needs to be more pronounced. Like, it's still a bit difficult to see. That's my only complaint about the combat. Everything else about the combat is fantastic. The team building is cool. The types of teams you can make. Like, that is literally my only problem with combat. Is the fact that the dot, like, when the little red indicator when someone's about to attack, it's just a little bit small and not that bright. I just wish it was a bit bigger and easier to see, especially when you're spamming attacks with a lot of people. Sometimes you can't really see it that well.
From Genshin Impact in a number of ways, keeping all people on the field. Your combat is like a different twist on introing in. You don't have to swap characters.
Yeah, okay. Another issue with, like, okay, here is a big problem. Oh, fuck.
And most important.
Okay, so here is a big problem with Enfield. And yes, I do understand it's at 1.0, but I'm praying in the future that they add different types of enemies with certain types of mechanics that you have to beat. Because the enemies, I'll be honest, are a bit boring. Their designs are a bit bland. Really, only the bosses are pretty cool and they have unique mechanics. But, like, for the bosses, like the big guy with tubes, how many actual mechanics does he have? Besides the one where you have to stand behind cover. Like, I just wish there were more mechanics, but I'm gonna hold out hope that they're going to improve that type of stuff as we go on through the patches, once we move into 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and all of those beyond. But, like, it's just a little disappointing the way the enemies are designed and the way their mechanics are.
Importantly, breath of fresh air in comparison to everything else in the space in these open world games. You actually tried to differentiate from Genshin Impact in a number of ways, keeping all people on the field. Your combat is like a different twist on introing in. You don't have to swap characters. You then have I don't have to explain it. Everybody that plays the game knows your combat is definitely a bit different, and I think that's a good thing. The problem isn't what the player is able to do. The problem is what the enemy is doing with your game. And I know that now abundantly so because I'm in the middle of beating Elden Ring, where everything is dependent on the enemy and not.
Okay, this comparison is okay. This is retarded. Okay,
What you're doing is like it's bare minimum.
you
know?
are comparing FromSoft. Okay,
I think what needs to happen with Arknights Endfield is your sponge experience needs to get dimmed down a bit. Whether you increase the multipliers of the characters or you lower the health of the enemy.
you want them to nerf the enemies even more? They've been doing that. Like, there's been 3 separate patches. What? There's been like, oh God. There's been like 3 separate patches of just random enemies being nerfed HP wise for no fucking reason. Like, bosses got nerfed because they were too tanky apparently, but in reality they weren't. But, you know, the bosses were fine and all that, you know. But whatever.
Right now, I am of the mentality, and this is respectfully speaking, where I just want to get your combat over with. When I did your new in-game mode and when I'm doing your combat period, I'm not really having fun. I'm kind of just going through the motions. When I was in the middle of that in-game experience, I was just like, okay, these guys aren't fun to fight. It's just taking so long to kill them. And I'm ready for this to be over with. And that is a bad mentality to have as a consumer that's playing a game of combat.
Okay, I have a question for people that are watching this. When you're doing the weekly end game and whatever gacha game you're playing, are you in your head, are you secretly just repeatedly saying in your head, come on, I want to get this over with so I go play something else? Like, come on, I don't want this to take an hour. Like, I honestly do not think there is a single endgame mode in any gacha game that you actually want to sit down and play that's genuine fun. Besides integrated strategies and Arknights.
Just saying and being respectful about it. And so I think what you could do is you can cut their health by maybe a quarter and instead increase the reaction and intensity of the mobs. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, that might scare away the casual.
Oh God, okay. I glaze Arknights way too much.
If a casual is not willing to learn the combat system, the rotations, and so on and so forth, I think it's okay to let that casual go, because most casuals are going to go through the motions no matter what, and they're only going to be there for the story and the ambiance and the vibes. And so I don't think it matters if you guys make the combat more intense, a bit more sweat, because the casual is not playing the
Wait, so
casuals are going to go through the motions no matter what, and they're only going to be there for the story and the ambiance and the vibes. And so I don't think it matters if you guys make the combat more intense, a bit more sweat, because the casual is not playing the game.
Okay, so you make a point about nerfing the enemies because they're... Did he not just make a point that he wants the enemies HP reduced by a quarter in the end game? Did he not just make that point, and he goes ahead and says that they could either increase the enemy HP and make it more sweaty? Did he not just fucking say that like a minute ago?
Aspect alone. Now, the other thing I want to say is your music is incredible, but there's not enough of it. I think you guys need to ramp up big time that music, especially when you have to spend a lot of time setting up zip lines. And
I, in fact, agree with this. They need more music. They need better music. The music right now, just most of it is just there.
Pre-prepping the map to be more efficient. While I'm doing that, it would be nice to have those fucking banger tracks that exist, and apparently your prior title, and in games like Wuthering Waves, and in games like Zenless Zone Zero.
Yeah, OG Arknights has infinitely superior music. Yeah, no, the music in OG Arknights is infinitely superior. Sorry, that's just the truth.
And so I think there needs to be more music ramping up as well. Those are pretty much, I don't want to over fixate on all the criticisms.
Apparently, it pisses me off.
Those are pretty
No,
much
Arknights
all the things
does
that need
have better
fixing
music than
or
Enfield.
immediate attention in Arknights Endfield. The rest, I think you guys are doing great. I love the zip line.
No, enemies should have more mechanics. It makes it more engaging.
You know, there's
If they want to solve the problem with boring enemies, just add mechanics to them.
also little minor problems that just really ain't that big of a deal. Of course, they can be talked about, but who cares?
But he still has listed nothing that is making hordes of people leave the game. Am I insane? Like, he made the claim that people are, or implied, not made the claim, he implied that hordes of people are leaving the game because 1.0 is just terrible. And then he does not provide anything about it being terrible besides, according to him, the VA, the story. I mean, the story isn't bad, it's just boring. I don't.
For now, the big problems are the ones I pointed out, but your polish is amazing. Your character designs, I think, are incredible. I think Last Right, Floor Right, and Levitain are some of the best designs in Gacha gaming. I do. I think all three of those characters look incredible.
Of course, you pick out Fluorite in his bodysuit, skin tight bodysuit, based.
Cook and meet that standard as time goes on.
Just like water.
I think you guys
explosive diarrhea, baby.
I think you guys are doing a great job with your factory system.
Resource shortage is still booty cheeks. No Ember, trash take. Yeah, exactly. Like, where is the leotard? Leotard wearing Ember. I mean, I don't think the resource shortage is that bad. There aren't that many characters you have to build.
In terms of a one.
And, well, I would rather have building a character take a little bit longer, building several characters take a little bit longer than having them all done in a day. It gives me more things to do.
0.0
I'd rather
There's
have
a lot
it like
of people
that.
complaining that your factory system doesn't have enough. I think
You want to know what an issue is? The stamina takes, the daily stamina takes way too long to regenerate. For the amount you have, it should not take a day and a half to regenerate at all. It needs to regenerate faster. It needs to always be fully regenerating in a 24-hour period. That's a big issue. They really need to up how much it regenerates. Because I want to be doing activities, but when you lock behind combat dungeons and getting the rewards behind it, that's the issue. It needs to be able to regenerate daily.
I think that's just ignorance or a inability to look at it from a perspective other than your own from people. Here's what I mean. The higher level dungeons require more sanity. That's the thing. Sanity is what it's called. Stamina, sanity, same fucking thing. It's just is the same as Arknights Daily. I don't think it is, because you've got like what, almost 400 sanity at level 60 or something like that. I think it needs to regenerate higher. I think it does. You might disagree with me on that, but I think it needs to fully regenerate in a day. And that would really solve people's complaints about resource shortages, because that really would. 0.0 launch was very intimidating for a lot of people, for the factory alone, and the tutorials were unbelievably like holy shit, right? But the thing is, if you added even more on that, I think it just would have overwhelmed players, sensory overload, and they would just be like, fuck this. I think for a 1.0, you might have even put too much in there. That is probably like sounds crazy to some of you guys for me to say, because you're now in the in-game experience where you're twiddling your thumbs. But y'all are failing to understand just how many people, and myself included, played this for the first time and was like, fuck, bro, what is even happening with this? You know what I mean? And so I think they did just enough. I think they did just right.
I think if that was your reaction to being overwhelmed with the content in this game, I think your brain might be fried from playing too much Gacha. Your brain might actually be fried from playing too much Gacha if you got overwhelmed. Like, if I actually wanted to and I was not working, I would have had everything done in like 8 hours. I could have easily had everything done in 8 hours. Probably less. If you got overwhelmed with the 1.0, your brain might be fried from playing too much gacha games, bro. It really might be. You might need to take a break from playing gacha for a bit.
The thing is, what are you going to do in 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3? Because you got to start moving the wheel in those patches. 1.0, nice little groundwork for the factory system. Going forward, we have to expand. The factory must grow, and the intricate depth must go below, must go lower, right? And so that is my thoughts on everything. I'm not saying what I'm stating is the gold standard. This is kind of just what I saw.
No, this is word diarrhea, as Talos said. Like, you spend the first half of the video using graphs or in Google Trends graphs to indicate player count for gacha games. You imply that because not a lot of, like, nobody is searching Enfield, because it could be the fact that people are using the in-game build maker, the in-game team builder, the in-game everything. It's, and then you imply
2.0 wuwa Storekeeper was a banger for the hype that goes on in the future. And so we're in this position now where the question becomes, what can Arknights do to hold on to the audience it currently has and is currently losing?
Okay, you do not give any examples of how they're losing players. What is wrong with the game?
Well,
your criticism is story bad, VA bad. And then end game is just the average end game you slog through. That's every gacha game. Okay, your point?
Think worst case scenario, you go down there with ZZ and wuwa and you still make a killing. And that's probably what you guys have already surmised is going to happen, and you're okay with that. But if you were to ask me, what could we do to even salvage
content
some of the people we still have before they even take off? I think the story and the play that Kudo did in 2.0 needs to happen faster.
Maybe okay, you're implying, because he said this, because they need to pull a wuwa 2.0, he's literally saying or implying that Enfield's launch is terrible. It's a buggy mess nobody can play. The story's boring. No, the story's bad. Because ask everybody that played wuwa 1.0, and they're probably going to tell you that the story was bad. I disagree. I think it was okay. A little boring, if a little word salad. But Enfield's story is a bit better than wuwa's 1.0. It's just safe. It's just there. But
do that in 1.2. You hire much better voice direction, possibly even voice actors, and you
nope. Okay, this video is just a mess. Dude actually thought he had something about this.
Fine.
Let's look at the comments. I want to see what people are saying. It's okay. Not everyone is interested. I mean, I don't search the name in Google. I'm still playing it every day. See that? How many thousands of people do this? That's why you cannot use Google Trends to indicate player count for a fucking game in the first 3 weeks. Because the people that are playing it probably aren't searching it in there, because especially when it's just I don't fucking get it. Can you do a Google Trends assessment for Chaos Zero Nightmare? Dude, trust me, NTE is going to do okay. NTE is just going to do okay. It's probably not going to do anything special. And I honestly doubt Anata is an actual real game if it's ever going to come out. Oh, that's fucking based. Did he piss him off? He has a sponsor on your phone release. Based. That's fantastic. Not powered by Tencent, right? I have no idea, dude. I have no idea.
First, let's go ahead and take a look at United States,
But
right? So
this GTA 6 for before Anata, dude, it's GTA 6 is probably gonna get delayed again. Most likely gonna get delayed again.
important thing you guys need to all play that Kudo did in 2.0 needs to happen faster. Maybe
this is just wild that you're implying that Enfield is in the same spot as wuwa 1.0. That is why. Am I the crazy one? Is he not implying that by saying that?
Worst case scenario, you go down there with ZZ and wuwa and you still make a killing. And that's probably what you guys have already surmised is going to happen, and you're okay with that. But if you were to ask me, what could we do to even salvage some of the people we still have before they even take off? I think the story and the play that Kudo did in 2.0 needs to happen faster. Maybe
guys, Enfield needs to do a relaunch essentially. They need to essentially remake a new 1.0 map and completely redo the story because it's bad. Guys, I know how to fix the game. I know how to fix the game. They need to relaunch the game. They need to completely hire new voice actors. They need to fire the VA directors, hire new ones. Okay, so essentially 2.0 for Wuthering Waves was essentially essentially Wuthering Waves 2.0 was essentially them grabbing the dead body of wuwa, cutting its heart out, cutting all the dead organs out, putting in the brand new organs, and just reviving it. Like, most likely, wuwa would have died if 2.0 did not come out. Like, 2.0 wuwa is the sole reason why wuwa is as big as it is now. wuwa would have probably just been a open world PGR, most likely. That's essentially what probably would have happened. But like, I don't
if you could
this game, I don't think this game is bleeding players. I think the reason why people are quitting it is because they got filtered by the factory. And I will say this, the game is a bit more on the grind side. It really is. But like, all you really need to do to not worry about grinding is build your ruling factory and just not play it for a week, and then guess what? You'll be able to craft all the sets you'll ever need. That's literally what I did. I built out my factories in Wuling to actually build all the things I need to get enough money to build the relics, have enough materials to build. Like, it's just, and then you literally won't have to play the game for a week. Hell, you don't even need to play it daily. That's the thing. Like, Enfield is designed in a way to not play it daily because of the factory system. I seriously don't get the point of this video. Like, this video would have made more sense if it came out in like 1.2. This video would have been a lot better if it came out in 1.2. And I honestly kind of respect it that he did not just make the whole video about the gacha system, because that would have been very easy just to farm easy points up with people that don't like the game. But I think this video would have been a lot better. And people were leaving it, yeah, like, this video would have been better if it was like 1.2, 1.1, maybe even 1.3. But we're literally in 1.0 still. That's the thing.
Telling you that's what matters the most, the absolute most. Everything else, gacha players like to pretend salvage some of the people we still have before they even take off. I think the story and the play that Kudo did in 2.0 needs to happen faster.
So Hypergrift needs to completely make a brand new area with 5 to 6 different zones. Okay. A completely different storyline, completely different characters, new VA like voice direction guys, new VAs. I don't see it because the VAs are fantastic, the voice direction is good, the story is safe but okay. It's not good but not bad. This video was made at the wrong time. It really should have been made in 1.2. Hell, even 1.3. Give the devs time to actually put out content and see what the content strategy is going to be, because we simply do not know. I think this video would have been a lot better if it was released later. But as of right now, it's just, what's the fucking point, dude? Why? What is the point you're trying to make? You used a shitty metric to try to judge and say that the game is dropping players because people aren't Google searching it enough. Do you want to know something? When I play Enfield, guess what I use to build my characters? I look at the in-game guide. Yeah, no, Nokia, you're correct. If the devs do not do anything to improve quality of life, add quality of life features, add engaging endgame, add engaging bosses, then this video would have been a lot better. But he still did not mention that type of thing, like quality of life and all of that. I just don't see the point. And you want to know what's amazing? This is a 23-minute video and we turned it into an hour and a half. But like, brother, like, I had to go look at fucking Google Trends and all that. It's just, this video was not necessary at this point. I don't really get the point of it. I just don't get the point of it, but all right. You know what? So, hey, never mind. There's no point in making that point. To rival Saint? No. Gotcha Smack is leagues better than Saint. I'll say that. Like, I like Gotcha Smack's videos where he's calling out bullshit in the gacha industry a lot more than Saint does. Like, to rival Saint? No, you? Oh, God. For a snowman reaction? Oh, Lord. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think we're gonna go back and actually start the companion quest now. I'll have to put a vote in for it. But yeah, let me know what you thought about good old Gotcha Smack's little video about the honeymoon phase is over for Arknights Endfield Truth Bomb. Did you ever look it up? Look up what? But yeah, this video really should not. This video would have been a lot better if it was made in like 1.2, maybe 1.3. But there's just still so much we really don't know about how stuff is going to be on a per patch to per patch basis. And he really just made some stupid points in this, like the VAs being bad. They need to basically do what wuwa did with 2.0, implying that the 1.0 launch was as bad as 1.0 wuwa. It's just ridiculousness. Using Google Trends to indicate player retention and player count, that's just fucking stupid. I can guarantee no matter how high that graph data for Genshin Impact was during COVID, it was not representing just how popular Genshin is. And like you're missing what I'm gonna say easily 70% of the player count or player interest, because you can't access the Chinese Google and Bilibili. I guarantee it's like tripled, like 7 times the size. So these points are just fucking stupid. But I still like Gotcha Smack. His video, I like a fair bit of his videos. But yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments. If you think he made some really stupid points and some correct points, because some of the stuff he said was correct, but a lot of it was just dumb and not really, like, we can't really define, like, say anything yet. But yeah, subscribe, by the way. Comment on it too. I'll probably reply to you. Peace.